Hey guys, welcome back to Myth Explorations, episode 7 now. In keeping with the more modern theme for you guys, I came up with a fun one that I actually referenced back in the last one, the MIB one, I believe, where I basically spent a good 10 minutes laughing about demons and talking about making a film out of it. Anyway, yeah, this I was episode 7, so we're covering, as I said, something that's still more of a modern one, and that's still, to be honest, carrying on in modern today. It's Bigfoot, or Sasquatch, depending on how you want to pronounce it, or say, or what. Anyway, I because of when I was reading this, I've read that there were a few different ones, and also that was also capitalized in mountain monsters. So I think the general accepted overarching term is Sasquatch, and then obviously you've got Bigfoot as the general colloquialism, I believe. And I have squeaky chair today. Instead of my phone being propped up on the squeaky chair, I am sat on squeaky chair. It's been a while. So let's jump straight in. So basically, for as long as basically North American folklore, there's always been some form of Bigfoot or Sasquatch referenced, depending on, just a general one, or if you want to get into specifics like in man monsters, yada yada yada, but there's always been basically at least one in one county pretty much all the time. They're similar to us, so they stand upright on two legs. It's not really known if they have speech. I'm gonna say no. But as I said, I don't know much about this. Obviously an American or something like that would probably know more than me, but I don't. All I have is the power of the internet at the minute. So, anyways, Bigfoot, yes. So they obviously, because they're wilderness creatures and stuff, they usually tend to dwell in the wilderness and live there. Also, depending on where you go, there could be signs supposedly from them. So, like a whole bunch of reptile logs, I guess, maybe. I don't know, long thin branches or large sticks, however you want to put it, in trees or on the ground, marking territory. Which I think I covered the general idea of marking territory in the Giant's Causeway one. Anyway, so so that's been more than enough for almost anyone to say, Bigfoot is real. But obviously there have been many scientists. There was like at least a page worth in the Google search that I found of like press and stuff picking it up, and then scientists immediately like basically decapitating it, just cutting through it, going, "Yep, nope, not real." Anyway, so back to the thing. So dwells in the wilderness, stuff like that. It has it. I don't know. Is it an it? Is it a they? I'm gonna say it in terms of this general term Sasquatch overall, just because that will make things easier. Like the general sort of whole idea of Sasquatch. So it is usually in Pacific Northwest, like I said, mainly North America. There have also been a few in Alaska, captioned in the Alaskan Monsters, I think it is. I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, there were a few in there, in the Alaska Triangle, I believe, which I have, as I've shown you guys in a previous video. I think I've got one map in front of me there. and I actually haven't put the Alaska Triangle on it, which I need to. Anyway, back to this. So, but there were a couple of states that were mentioned, well, states and places that were mentioned specifically. So, Oregon, Washington, British Columbia, and Northern California. They were all ones that were mentioned, but obviously we know from shows like Mountain Monsters and stuff like that, there are more. There are most likely a few more locations than there are actually officially listed. Um, and the last thing that's really important to cover is that it's traced back to the wild men. That's something from back in old European history where basically just the men that lived in the wild. I think that was pretty much the gist of it. It was just men that lived in the wild, did whatever they wanted because wild. Yeah. The thing that I am going to cover though, which is kind of important to well, any kind of animal really, but in specifically this is the idea of speciation. So, getting down to it, obviously, people watching will probably know what speciation is, but I'm just going to give a quick recap. So, speciation is where the way I had it described to me, actually, hang on, I'll show you because I actually have a pad now. I actually have a pad and I can actually hold it up here. So, the way I had it described to me was by my biology teacher like this. So you've got, I can't remember what motorway it was, but basically you've got the motorway here, and then you've got Hinckley and the Neeson, right? I don't know if you can see that. So Hinckley and the Neeson. And then obviously, there's different people from the different places will have different ideas, looks, and stuff like that. Accents, obviously. So yeah, so that's the way I had it described. So if there's something that will split it, it will affect. It will if the same species, obviously all humans on the planet are Homo sapiens, but we're different depending on where we've come from, and that's to do with speciation. So, but one factor can change an entire species, but they all come under the same banner. This is basically the general idea. So anyway, right, back to it. So this idea of speciation can apply to the Sasquatches. So it'll depend on the area. So for example, ones found in Alaska will generally be more sort of a whitey grey colour to match the snow and the environment that's there, maybe with a bit of green thrown in, just to try and match the environments there. Actually, to be fair, probably about as white as the side of my face is, but the sun. Oh my gosh. Anyway, yes. So, and then obviously ones in North America will generally be more brown, more browny, like no, not greys, browny, like dark colors, basically. So browns, again greens, but more sort of deep forest greens. So I don't have an example near me. But yeah, generally more sort of like that sort of a thing. And again, it's all to do with the environments. So Sasquatch lays down, it's going to be in a more muddy area. Then it's going to have a more muddy look to it, so it can camouflage better with this environment. So, I'm looking. This is not one that will end like with the Giant's Causeway, because there's stories and photos like galore. Like honestly, if you look on the internet, I'm sure you can find at least 1,000 stories on Reddit that people have shared of an encounter or hearing one. But yeah. The other thing that I wanted to cover as well about them is something that was addressed in Mountain Monsters, but Mountain Monsters is a reality show, so it's one of those ones where it's like, yeah, but maybe take it with a pinch of salt, I think. because even though I take media, took media, I still don't understand reality TV. Anyway, is but this idea of speciation is also the calls that they make. Obviously because they're creatures, and they've we've been told that they're more like us. They're going to call to others to join groups, to form clans, to breed, to to basically to survive. And well, one of the things that was covered in Mountain Monsters is the different calls that they have. So I'll give you an example. I can't remember the name of it because it was usually named because it usually goes state and then the thing. It was called the Yahoo. Either way, if you look up Mountain Monsters Yahoo, that you'll get it basically. They all have a different, basically war cry, and that obviously has to do with speciation, but also to do with, but it could also do with specific clans. So let me explain this a bit. Try and explain this a bit better. So, actually, here's a good example. So Far Cry Primal, we all know the game. You play as caveman. You make semi-mouthy noises that almost make sense in words, and then you'd use that to form your camp, and so on and so forth. It could very well be the same principle here. So, think about it. There, if we're going by supposed signs and evidence out in the wilds, they're building huts, they're building dens. We know that they can breed. We know that they can breed because almost all animals can. They mark territory. All of these point to signs of intelligence. So why wouldn't they be able to communicate? And then obviously with speciation will affect what kind of communication form that takes place. So, for example, Yahoo basically screams at the top of its voice, while I can't remember its name. It's Night something. The Nights. Oh, that's really annoying me now. I can't remember. It's Night something. Will might use more of a whisper because along with its more darkish, blackish fur, because they're nocturnal. They come out at night, so they'll want to use more of a whisper to communicate, to not disturb any creatures nearby. Creatures like us. So yeah, it's just it's one of those ones that's adaptive to sciences of today. Depending on how you look at it, really. It's one of those ones where it's like, it's plausible but very highly unlikely. It's a weird one. It's one of those ones where it's like, it dates back in American folklore, but it's one of the ones that's still very modern today. And honestly, there are so many stories and encounters about it. Like I think I read a few, but the amount that were in the thread made my head spin because there was so many. But there's not a specific one. That's the thing. Which again comes back to speciation. But there's no like specific one type. It's always a different description depending on where you go. There is one actually that I know is part of actual folklore, which Mountain Monsters did cover, and I'm going to cover it now because it's so fun. Well, not fun, but interesting. So, there's one which I do recommend episode you check out, called on Mountain Monsters, called the Cherokee Devil. The Cherokee Devil is actually part of Native American mythology as well, which is awesome. Because it's one of those ones where it's like, okay, so they covered it, but it could not also be part of the reality scripting. It's Cool. So basically, so this one's different to the others. It's in North America. So obviously, as I mentioned with the species before, you typically expect a more sort of yellowy brown, deep forest greeny, maybe sometimes black for nocturnal kind of colors, right? Apparently not. Apparently this one is grey to white and has red eyes that can apparently hypnotize, which is nuts. It's one of the ones like Mothman, which I'll cover at a different time. Um, where it's one of those ones where it's like, it's again, it's the thing to do with brains. If you get a certain right amount of lights, colors, and noises, you could effectively hypnotize someone. And that's supposedly what's been going on with this Cherokee Devil. But people that, but apparently, again, my only source of reference for this guy's Mountain Monsters, so I'm just going to be referring to them a lot. But according to people in Mountain Monsters, they don't really remember what happened during that time. And I think that about covers it, really. I think, to be honest, me being in squeaky chair instead of being sat opposite squeaky chair has thrown me out a bit. But there we go. Yeah, thank you guys very much for watching and listening to me travel on once again. I am Alex, your myth explorer. I still don't know how to properly outro this. Your myth explorer, myth guide. Myth guide. Done. Myth guide. Your myth guide through this week's one, which was obviously Sasquatch. I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to leave a comment down below for something specific you want to see, or maybe some of your own experiences with these things. I'll always be happy to read them. With your own suggestions, as I said, leave them down below. I'll have a look at them, and then I'll see if I can either make a video out of them. I'll just see if I can make a video out of them. If not, never fear, I will try and make a community post if I can figure out how it works. But yeah, that's it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next myth. Until then, have a great day. For those of you who are still part of schools, have a great half term coming up, because that kind of scared me to not really know that was coming up on the 25th. Anyway, that's it from me. You guys have a great day. I'll catch up with you in the next myth. Until then, ta-ra.